evening and welcome to another edition of Amazing Stories from Skid Row, brought to you by Union Rescue Mission, where we don't just change moments in time, but we transform lives. Our host is Union Rescue Mission Chief Executive Officer, the Reverend Andy Bales. Andy's special guest this evening is John and Nikki. They are the founders of Project Pop Drop International.
So good to see you again, John and Nikki.
Good to see you.
Hi, Andy. Nice to see you.
Yes, and I always love seeing people's faces as they watch Kitty talk with her hands. And especially Nikki's eyes. I loved what she did. And
love your work.
Thank you.
I mimic Kitty on the Monday Night Live show. Nobody gets to see it, fortunately, but I love to mimic her. But you guys were sharing with me that your care for others started young, and it's not new to you to bring things to people on either Skid Row at Union Rescue Mission or even at Hope Gardens. And Nikki, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, before John and I founded Project Pop Drop, we both were very inspired to give back to the community that we grew up in Los Angeles. And we saw as young kids that there was a big problem with homelessness in our own town in Los Angeles. So we had, I would call it the privilege of seeing that at a young age and being able to really, hey, we're just going to say, hey, Daddy. That's totally normal for a radio
show. That's all right.
Show.
Yeah, you just let folks know that that's beautiful Chloe in the background. And we yes, and we would try to ask her to be quiet, but you don't ask 2-year-olds to be quiet.
You don't.
No, she wants to get in on the
talk.
action.
That's right.
But we had the privilege of seeing this as young kids, and I call it a privilege because our parents showed us, that there's more that's going on in our city than what's going on in our block that we live. And okay, Chloe, why don't we take this now? There we go.
Look, she grabbed it too.
We're going to all circle back to this when we see that Chloe is now going down to Skid Row and getting in on the action too. But we both as kids saw that there was a problem, and in our minds and in our hearts, we always knew that as adults we would do something to give back.
Right.
And that's a really special thing, I think, that to be moved like that at such a young age and then come together with somebody that's eventually going to be your spouse and co-founder of an organization that's now gone national, which is really exciting.
That is exciting.
And you mentioned going out to Hope Gardens before it was Hope Gardens. It was Forester's Haven, a retirement home, and as a child, you took things out to the guests there.
Absolutely. I owe it to my parents for forcing us to go as kids and give our toys every holiday, because it definitely did something to me. And I know as a kid, John, was seeing the same thing, not exactly at Hope Gardens, but he was going down to Laker games with his dad, and he saw, the problem that was happening, and he just, in his mind,
wow,
was thinking to himself that he wanted to do something to give back too. And then we met, and on our first date, that's a whole other story where it all came together.
Well, John, why don't you share that whole other story, starting with the Laker game?
Well, the Laker games, I used to go with my father, and I remember driving through the streets, and I'd always see like people living in the box, like in a box, and for some reason that really bothered me. I was like, wow, how can they be like living in a box? And so I told my dad, I said, when I'm old enough, and this is when I was still in school and a kid, I said, when I'm old enough and I'm able to do something, I'm going to do something to help these people.
Wow.
So we came full circle, and Nikki and I on our first date, we were talking, and I told her about, my business, and, I have this company, Platinum International Products and Services, and we sell toner cartridges, and everybody in our industry, for some reason, they send out big 3-pound bags of M&Ms and all these like processed chocolates, and Staples does it, and Office Depot, and it's just this weird thing in the toner business that they send out big 3-pound bags of M&Ms to every person that orders
For Christmas? Or?
No, just every order. It's like
Really? Okay,
it's
so it's
their
just like
it's something in the office supply business. I don't know, and we started doing the same thing, and just to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
And then her and I, were talking, and I said, I don't feel right. I kind of feel like I'm like kind of selling a used car. Not that that's anything bad, but it didn't have like. It had that feeling like where I felt like I wasn't being real because
didn't have real meaning to
yeah,
it.
so
he didn't want to contribute to the diabetes problem in America. He wanted to do something to give back because that's where his
How
heart
nice
was.
is that, Andy, to hear that?
So Nikki and I started talking, and then we came up with, well, why don't we take the money that we're spending on the M&Ms for every single customer just to be like everyone else, and let's take that money and buy food for people that need it.
Wow.
Like the homeless people that we were talking about seeing as kids. And then Project Pop Drop was born right there. And we came to Andy, actually, was the first participant. I'm going to blow your mind. I never told you this.
Wow.
When we came to the Union Rescue Mission with the first donation, now we go to different shelters, and it's gone nationwide through our customers. But we came to Andy with some water, a toner cartridge we donated, some beans, rice, and potatoes, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
That was our first.
And then, so we met Andy, we did the pop drop, and it was fun, and we liked it. And we're like, wow, this is really nice to be able to help people.
Yes.
So later that night, this is where it really became full circle. Later that night, I went home to, I was in between here and Florida. I was, living, taking care of the office there and here. And I was at my mother's house, and I said, I just told her the story that I just told you. Hey, we started this great program, Project Pop Drop. We're not like everybody else, all these other office supply companies anymore, sending out M&Ms and feeding the wrong people. And I turned around and I looked at my mother, and she was crying. I said, well, why are you crying? I said, we're doing something great. And she says, well, she goes, don't say anything, which I'm saying something, but she says, don't say anything. But in the 50s, your grandfather was actually a guest at the Union Rescue Mission.
Wow.
And I've never even met the guy. And he was an alcoholic, and he left them when she was like 12, or when she was 12. And so I said, what? I said, the place that we went to today, the Union Rescue Mission, your dad had to stay there? And she's like, yeah. I said, whoa. And then right then and there, it just like a lightning bolt hit me. I said, well, I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Wow.
Yes.
Very full circle.
And that's it. Yeah. I never told you that. I don't
You remember
know.
the name? His name?
Alex looked it up for me, and he tried to pull it up, and he pulled some pictures like from the 50s, like some old school, just how it looked.
That's remarkable.
And because he couldn't pull anything.
Track him down.
Yeah, I couldn't track him down.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
People seem to like that story because it's pretty heartwarming to come full circle like that with a family member that stayed there, and now we're able to help all these families
that you didn't even know.
Yeah.
Right.
You didn't even know the connection.
And you wouldn't believe how often that happens because a lot of times people try not to remember even their time that they spent at Union
It's
Rescue
true.
Mission, but many family members have.
And it's so exciting that we this past 2 months we actually broke a record for Project Pop Drop, and we had 3 pop drops going in 3 different states at once. That's the most we've ever had. We had one in California, one in Florida, and one in Memphis. So
Nice.
that was super cool.
How did you come up with Pop Drop? Because I'm thinking, I look at the name Pop Drop. It's such a great name, and then I was thinking lollipops too. I don't know. I just think about candy.
Soda pop.
I don't think we're giving any more We're not going to give any candy because that wouldn't be true to the M&M shindig.
Exactly.
Yeah, you moved
exactly.
away from
There you go.
M&M's.
But
Pop Drop.
John,
where did
you
that
wanna
come
take
from?
it?
I think we're going to have to wait until the next segment to
All
explain
right.
that, and
All right.
we've still got to get back to the first date story because
Oh,
we always
yeah.
like those first
good
We
one.
do.
first date stories.
For additional information about Union Rescue Mission's programs and services and how you can help, visit us online at urm.org. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at URM. You're listening to Amazing Stories from Skid Row with host the Reverend Andy Bales. We'll be right back with more right after these important messages. You're listening to Amazing Stories from Skid Row. Homelessness is devastating communities nationwide, but nowhere more than right here in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is now the homeless capital of America, but Union Rescue Mission is trying to change that. Did you know that many homeless families did not choose life on the streets? Many are victims of circumstances that spiraled out of control. But Union Rescue Mission's CEO, Pastor Andy Bales, says whatever the reason is really doesn't matter. Each one is in great need of God's love.
We are carrying out the words of Jesus Christ, and we're shining a bright light in a very dark place. I know our precious guests see our love as we receive so much back from them.
Become a hero for hope when you automatically give each month, or a one-time gift of $250. You will also receive a special gift, Union Rescue Mission's book, Stories from Skid Row. The Union Rescue Mission, together with you, bringing hope, healing, and transformation to the streets of Los Angeles. Go to urm.org/KKLA. Now, let's get back to more amazing stories from Skid Row with host, the Reverend Andy Bales.
Well, John, I had no idea that was your first time when
Wow.
you came to Union Rescue Mission. I'm really surprised by that because you guys were so on it.
That was
and
6 years ago.
Professional, yeah. And but I still want to hear the story about the first date. How did you two meet up?
They're smiling.
All right.
We're laughing.
We'll keep it real. We met online.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
nice.
great.
Met online, and then we had our first date at Rock Sugar at the Century City Mall.
Okay.
And actually, when I talked to her on the phone, when we went from the online to messaging each other on there, and then we made it onto a phone call.
We switched it up to voice-on-voice action.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I'm
when I
with
heard
you.
her voice, even before the date, I said, she's
Yeah.
the one. I could tell.
Wow.
You know. And then we went on the date, and I was telling her the business I was in, and then we came up with Pop Drop together after I was telling her how it, doesn't
you didn't
sit
like
well
the
with
M&Ms.
Yeah.
No, he's leaving out some parts here, Andy.
Okay, please give your version.
Yes.
Let's
Give
take
the
a
accurate
let's take a
version.
Yeah.
moonwalk back. Let's moonwalk
All
back.
right.
She wanted
Okay.
to restructure my whole company.
Yeah. This was actually announced at our wedding. They said he said this in his wedding speech. Nikki, I knew you were the one when on our first date you restructured my whole company, which is actually accurate.
What was your
because-
background that gave you that
Well,
ability?
I actually worked in Hollywood, and I was an editor for a couple different magazines and a celebrity stylist, and I did some TV stuff. So I had a little bit of a marketing past, and when I met with him, I just heard, I'm like, okay, first of all, let's be honest with ourselves. I Googled him because this
Good
guy,
move.
yeah, he gave me the pleasure of seeing his real name. He used his real name in his profile, which is,
Okay.
it's good that I rescued him off the internet because we all know you don't do that in the
Oh,
internet.
Right.
dating
I
world.
didn't know that either.
Right.
Yeah. So next time you go online and you're fishing out there, don't use your real name, Andy, or else they could Google.
Well, I'm not fishing.
Good. But he used his real name, so I Googled him, and I'm like, you know what? There's like this he seems like a nice guy. I see he's obviously wanting to give back to the community, and I love doing that. And I've done a lot of philanthropy and have been very involved in different philanthropy organizations throughout my career. So I'm like, you know what? This is cool that I'm attracting in this kind of a guy. Okay, let's go check this out. So I went on the date with him. I already knew everything there was to know about him, but he doesn't know this.
You even saw his picture and everything,
Yeah.
so you know what he looked like.
Thank you very
yeah.
much, Google.
Yeah.
And we went on our date, and I said, what's up with the going and feeding homeless people? Do you really do that? I said, or is that like a stage photo shoot? And he's like, no, I really do that. I go, every month we go feed homeless people. We get a couple 1,000 pounds of food. And I'm like, you know what? That's really cool. But I'm like, are you trying to get a second date, or like, what's the incentive? And he explained to me, I know. You should see that, like the eye contact that's happening with me right now.
I love it.
Like, what is wrong with this girl? He's like, she's all mine,
No,
folks.
I'm impressed.
And yeah, so I saw that he was really doing it, and the way he was speaking about it, he was so passionate. And everybody's so jaded in LA that I just didn't know, So I had to of course, interview him like you guys are interviewing us. And he was very authentic. And I said, okay, cool. What's the name of your organization? He goes, I don't have a name of an organization. He said, I just go and feed people. And I go, no. I just said no to him. I said no to the guy that I just met that I was on a date with for 20 minutes.
So you're straightening him out already.
Yeah.
This is marriage material.
It is total marriage
Exactly.
material.
Keep her.
I started yelling at him, guys. That's not wrong, right?
No.
That's awesome, right?
Yes.
It's kind of awesome.
That's what we do.
Yeah, that's what we do. I yelled at him, and I'm like, you know what? I had like a thought bubble. I said, I'm pretty sure this guy is going to be my husband because I'm yelling at him on our first date. We're already in a fight.
And he's smiling.
Yeah, he's smiling. Yeah. So I started yelling at him, telling him that he has to have a name for the organization. I'm like, where's your marketing collateral? Where's your logo, your website? You need a video. We need a tagline. Like, we need an electronic press kit. He was like, what? He's like, I just want to go and give back to the community. But I said, no. I said, we got to go bigger. So basically on that date, that it was formed. We both talked about, how much we wanted to give back and what we were both super passionate about.
Right.
And the next day we were registering Project Pop Drop, and
Wow.
we were going through the process, and we've been together ever since that date. And I told him where to park and everything that night. I'm like, in addition to restructuring the company, I told him where to park.
Sounds
I
very
told him
familiar.
what domain to register. Anyone else married here? Anyone else liking this story?
So what Pop Drop? How did you do Pop
Do you
Drop?
pop in?
I'm gonna
and
let
you drop,
John take.
drop,
Yeah.
Yeah,
drop
we
things
pop
off.
by and we drop off.
I love that.
Pop and drop.
Pop is partnership of provision.
I love it.
Pop. You have a
Got it, yes.
provision partnership with other companies,
Provision.
individuals to give back and do what we're doing.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
And we pop and drop.
I love
Yes,
it.
you do. You pop in and
And
drop
then we
off.
roll. And then we roll.
And then you roll. I love it.
Well, John, any
Awesome.
feelings back as you were getting kind of reworked here on your first date? And
Well-
I can tell you were smiling when you were getting instructed.
It's hard for us husbands to say, but she was right. By naming,
Finally.
making a name for it, and promoting it, and doing the social media stuff, and doing all that. Because I just wanted to do it. I didn't want to go around saying, "Hey,
Right.
we're doing this, rah rah rah."
Yeah,
But she was right. In order for you to make it a bigger
to grow.
program
Yes.
and to grow it, and it's like now our customers are having their employees clean out their closets and
Wow.
their pantries at home, and they're buying food. And
Well, when we
it's-
come back, we're going to hear more about Pop Drop and marriage.
Oh my goodness. How much time do you guys have?
We'll be right back with more right after these important messages.
Thank you for listening to Amazing Stories from Skid Row. You may have heard a story that touched you deeply or even broke your heart. The truth is, most of us will never know what it's like to be on the streets, sleeping on a sidewalk, wondering where the next meal is coming from, freezing in the winter and unbearably hot in the summer, without hope. The caring staff at Union Rescue Mission does. We know that as the compassion of Christ shines through us, lives are changed and hope is restored. That's why we are dedicated to the thousands of men, women, and children experiencing homelessness in downtown LA. We'd like to invite you to help us complete the circle of acceptance, redemption, and transformation. As little as $22 a month feeds a family of 4 a hot, nutritious meal. And when you mention KKLA with your monthly or one-time donation of $250, you'll receive our very special gift, Union Rescue Mission's book, Stories from Skid Row. Thanks for listening. To give, go to urm.org/KKLA. That's urm.org/KKLA.
Now, let's get back to more amazing stories from Skid Row.
Well, Nikki, as you were talking about the instruction you were giving John, I recalled this beautiful girl with wonderful eyes who was kind of running a video that you guys made at URM, and I thought it was you. Am I right?
Thank you, Andy. I'm honored that you remember me with everything that you've seen in your time at Union Rescue
Well,
Mission.
you were
that
kind of
remember.
unforgettable.
Thank you, my friend. No, I was. See, I told you I could be loud, But yeah, we that was like the beginning of everything, because that video showed people what we were doing. And
Tell us about that, though. You had it scripted. You were like
Hair
a
and makeup,
producer,
all of it.
director.
No, we didn't do hair and makeup.
Okay.
No.
We had like 70-year-olds on that video. Like that was like, people were not, they didn't want to get too glammed out. But we did a video so people could see what we were doing, because a visual is better than, you could tell
Sure.
people anything, but when people see the emotion and see the feeling and
Right.
see how you're giving back to the community in a well-produced, tight marketing video, they can see, I want to be a part of something like that. And it's inspired many people.
Yeah, so what happened with that video?
I listened to my wife again, and she was right about
Yes,
making
he
the
did.
video. And then we made the video, and next thing you know, I'm getting a call from a couple of people that work in Hollywood. They're in the movie business, and they said, "Hey, we really like what you guys are doing with this Project Pop Drop. We want to donate a couple of flat screen televisions so the kids could play video games at the Union Rescue Mission."
Wow.
And then you probably know this. OPI, the
Nail polish.
nail polish.
Yes.
They heard about what we were doing from the video, and
Yeah.
and they donated. I brought it to the Union Rescue Mission. They
remember.
donated a bunch of skincare products,
Yes.
nail polish for the ladies, all the different. So
Colors
that
and
that
stuff,
video actually launched us in a big way, because
Wow.
it brought more awareness, and it brought other local companies to go with us, which
Yeah.
was our whole goal. Because if we could get other companies
To come on
to
board.
step up to the giving plate and come aboard, then you're going to make that pile of help a lot bigger than just what we could do.
And we need that, because
We
our
do.
gift
Yeah.
in kind is dwindling every year. So people like you and Portos and others who
Yeah.
give make a huge difference. So before we lose you today, what's your plans for the future?
Yes.
I can't wait to hear it.
I want to tell you that we're glad that you need more stuff, because I just did it again. We are planning on doing a big initiative this year, the Project Pop Drop initiative in LA, and we're getting ready to get the Los Angeles, all the tastemakers and glitterati of LA involved in this initiative.
Awesome.
You'll be hearing from us again soon, because it's definitely going down, Andy.
And how do people support you? How do they get a hold of
Right.
you and support you?
Yes.
Well, we have a website, we have social networking, and the platform that we are actually about to start promoting is something that I think you guys.
What
I know,
is your website and contact info?
Oh, I'll give you that right now. It's Project Pop Drop, PROJECT, Pop, POP, Drop, DROP.com. And as part of our initiative, what we're going to be promoting is something really special. We're doing something that a lot of companies have done, which is we've implemented cause marketing.
Yes.
And now we are doing something called customer cause marketing, where our customers are giving back, and we're going to be doing a challenge for other companies in corporate America and locally to do customer cause marketing like us and have their customers give back, just like Project
Thank
Pop
you.
Drop.
You guys have been a delight.
Awesome.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On behalf of Union Rescue Mission, I'm Kitty Davis Walker, the VP of Public Relations. Thank you for joining us. Tune in Monday through Friday at 9:30 p.m. and Saturday at 5:30 p.m. for more amazing stories from Skid Row. Don't forget to visit us online this week at urm.org. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at URM. May God bless you and keep you.
We pour out our miseries. God just is a melody. Beautiful, the mess we are. The honest cries of breaking heart are better than a hallelujah.
You've been listening to Amazing Stories from Skid Row. If your heart is breaking as you hear a story that hits a little too close for comfort, then donate to Union Rescue Mission and help CEO Pastor Andy Bales help the men, women, and children of Union Rescue Mission find their way back home.
I'm compelled to do this as I try to practice what I preached over 27 years ago from Matthew chapter 25. I preached that the way you treat another hurting human being is the way that you are treating Jesus himself.
Since 1891, the Union Rescue Mission has embraced men
men, women, and children experiencing homelessness with the compassion of Christ. Many are victims of circumstances by no fault of their own. It's people like these and others that Union Rescue Mission is offering hope, healing, and a way out of their tragic situation. But we can't do it without your generous donation. So please, help the Union Rescue Mission provide food, clothing, shelter, and other life-changing services for those desperately in need. And visit urm.org/KKLA to donate now.